good with the house. They don't need to go back. Nope.
Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's Michelle here with another Chris Watts video. This is another video in my series where I go through the letters from Christopher from the book The Murders of Christopher Watts by Cheryln Cadel. But I want to do it a little bit differently in that I just want to focus on one aspect of one letter. So this was a letter that was written by Chris to Cheryln in June 2019. The letter is quite a long one and he's talking a lot about scripture, but he's answering some questions. It seems that he's answering questions that Cheryln has posed to him. So he's talked about the case and about the specific aspects of what happened on the 13th and the 14th of August 2018. Of course, if you've been following the case, you'll know that Nickole Atkinson, Shanann's friend, a brilliant friend, everybody needs a Nickole in their life. Poor Nickole, she's come under a lot of criticism recently by the foolish people who are trying to get Chris Watts a 35C, and they're implicating Nickole Atkinson, not in terms of that she did the murders. I don't think even they have gone that far, but they're implicating her in lying to the police. So Nickole Atkinson expressed concern to the police and asked for a welfare check on the afternoon of the 13th of August 2018. And then events unfolded from there. So in this letter, Cheryln has asked him about Nickole Atkinson and, importantly, his opinion on why one of the dogs alerted in the basement. So let me just read you the paragraph where he talks about Nickole Atkinson, simply to lay to rest that Chris believes Nickole in that she was just a good friend. So I'll read you that paragraph just to lay this to rest once and for all. You know, if these people who are trying to get Chris out of prison on some kind of technicality or other, don't use Nickole Atkinson. If you believe in what Chris says, well, you know, don't pick and choose the things that you want to believe in. That's exactly what you're doing. So he says, as far as Nickole Atkinson goes, I have nothing against her. She spent a lot of time with Shanann in something. Some of these words are missed off. I knew that Shanann was upset at me, probably told her about the marital problems. Thus, she didn't hear from Shanann the next day. So Nickole was with Shanann over that weekend. So from the 10th to the early hours of the 13th, they were in Arizona for a Thrive conference, a Lavelle conference. You can see from Shanann's text in the discovery about how upset she was. Her friends there were trying to console her and help her, support her. Good friends she had, good support network. So she probably told her about the marital problems because she didn't hear from Shanann the next day. She knew something was up, as she knew Shanann always answered her phone. Her actions at my house were one of a concerned friend who believes I had done something or caused my wife's depression over the weekend. She called the police to come, but a few minutes after they left to search the house, and the news crews came the day after. She was always nice to me when she came over, so I think that's, like I said, she's just a concerned friend. Can we listen to Chris on this one? Is Chris lying about this? Chris lies so well, it just comes naturally to him. Then you get to a point where perhaps you don't believe anything he says. Well, actually, I think the actions of Nickole Atkinson and Chris believing that she was a concerned friend, I think all of that checks out and adds up. So can we please leave Nickole Atkinson alone, for God's sake? Leave her alone. Nickole Kessinger can tell the police, leave Jim alone. Well, I'm telling you, leave Nickole Atkinson alone. She's a lovely person. But anyway, I want to focus on the basement. And Chris has something to say about this. Again, I think this is in response to Cheryln asking him questions. I'd really like to see Cheryln's letters. I'd like to see all of this put in context, but as of this moment, we haven't got those letters. Maybe Cheryln could do another book with those letters in. So, regarding the basement, you say the canine dogs went crazy in one spot in the basement, and I can't think of a physical reason why. Okay, so if you've seen my previous videos, I've got a couple of videos. One on did he hide Cece in the basement. This is something that Cheryln Cadel said in a recent interview, that he planned to hide Cece's body like after he killed her in the basement, and he took her down to the basement and tried to put her in a tub or a tote. But she woke up. Do you know what? It's a horrible thing to think about, but I want to just be open to the possibility that that actually occurred. And the small bit of evidence we have on that is that Jane's trauma dog, the Labrador, I think his name was Cody, he did go crazy around the under the stairs area where there are some tubs. It's kind of the side of the basement where the stairs are, and the kind of a lot of boxes and things in that area. And Cody went nuts. He was barking like you wouldn't believe, but it was very much a controlled bark. It was the trained alert bark, not just a dog who's like in distress or is calling to his friends or something like that. It was the trained alert bark that a search and rescue dog would make. Cody's trained to search for specific body odors. So these are odors that might be in the air or that have kind of rested on items, but in certain areas it's stronger. Trauma dogs are search and rescue dogs, but one of the things they're trained for is to sniff out specific types of body odor. So when we're in distress, when we're excited, when our autonomic nervous system is basically ramped up and you're producing adrenaline, you're producing pheromones, and that comes out in your sweat, and you just sweat more as well. So the scents are going to be stronger in the areas where some kind of activity that has elicited this response from you has taken place. Now, you've got to bear in mind that the basement did have a furnace running. Jane expressed to Officer Lines that maybe scents are kind of moving and stuff, and he absolutely went mad. He also alerted upstairs, particularly in Bella's room. And it's such a shame that Jane actually said to Officer Lines that they should put a trauma tag here in the basement, which means, they should go in and forensically test that area. And would there have been anything there that would provide some more concrete evidence? I don't know, but we'd never know. We'll never know because the police didn't do their job properly. It's as simple as that. But Chris says he can't think of a physical reason why. I went downstairs that morning to the basement to get some trash bags. He's speaking after the Wisconsin confession, which was in February of 2019. Officers Lee and Coda asked him what he was doing in the basement in that interview. There was a lot of activity in the basement. The Vivint system showed a lot of activity in the basement. This is what Tammy Lee actually said, and that he did a lot of steps. So what was he doing? He simply going down for trash bags is not going to create that level of activity. So it's speculated by other creators that there was more than one person in the basement, and that is possibly the case. That might be why the Vivint was going crazy, but we haven't seen the Vivint alerts. And because the basement wasn't forensically tested, we don't know if there's, DNA or fingerprints from other people that could then be investigated further. The police did not do their jobs properly. So Chris now can go with the line, he just went there for trash bags, because that's what he ended up telling them on the day. And it was like a story that he concocted. And if you listen back to that interview, the Wisconsin confession, and find that place where they talk about the basement, it's like he concocted, I must have gone down for trash bags. I can't remember, but I must have gone down for trash bags. That's a story after the fact. I don't believe he's telling the truth here. He could be. He could well be. But because the police haven't released the Vivint and they didn't forensically test, we don't know. We're left speculating. So he went down for trash bags, but that's it. I know dogs can see or feel things humans can't, so maybe they felt the evil spirits that were in the house. That's the only reason I can come up with why the dogs picked up anything in the basement. Evil spirits. He believes that there's evil spirits in the house. Now, I think he's been led somewhat by Cheryln here, because she talks a lot, like her own opinion is there's some kind of dark force. And that comes out then in Chris's testimony. It's like he goes with a version, like there's truth in it, but he goes with a version that has been fed to him last. So does he really believe there's evil spirits in the house? I don't know. Maybe he really does believe that. But it's an easy out for him, isn't it? It's an easy out to say he was taken over by demonic forces, dark forces, and that there's evil spirits in the house that led him to do it. That is a get out of jail free card, except it won't get him out of jail. It gives him the easy explanation rather than digging deep within himself and actually telling the complete and utter truth. If I ever interviewed Chris, I would say, tell me what happened. And I'd keep my questions incredibly open. That's the way to interview someone if you don't want to lead them. And unfortunately, I think every time Chris has been interviewed, either formally by the police or more informally, he's been able to give a version of the story where there is some truth, but it's what he's going to go with next. It's what he wants that person to believe, and he's led by them as well. Whoever interviews him next, whoever gets the opportunity to interview him next, please ask very vague, open-ended questions and get him to tell the story. Don't lead him in any way. That's just a bit of advice for anybody who might come across this video in the future. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I really enjoy going through these letters. There's still quite a bit to get through. There's some really interesting pieces of information in them. So I'll continue this series. You seem to like it. People who watch my channel seem to like these letters videos. So I'll carry on with those. I hope you're doing well. I've been Michelle, and I'll speak to you very soon in the next video.